Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Okay, this is no joke. We all know, first of all, that we are over the moon, super excited, without a doubt, 800% yes, 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 we are supposed to be going on this trip. That said, there is a mountain between us and the airport. And I feel like there's another boulder being added to this mountain with every second that passes by. And I hear people say to me, like, oh my gosh, I want to be you. That's amazing. Or it must be nice to just go off. And it is nice. It's freaking legit. This used to be the dream. Everything I'm doing now used to be a dream. And here I am. So yay, that is nice. And it is not all blue skies and green lights. It's not all easy. And we're doing it anyway. And that's right. So I want to, of course, I want everyone to know what we're doing and what we're super excited about. But in all authenticity, there's some stuff that we just need to get out of our bodies and just list it. Because when you start listing it, it starts with like this angst and this heaviness and this like tornado in your body. And guaranteed, when each of us get to number 9 or 10, we're just going to be laughing. And that is good medicine. So we'll go in alphabetical order. Cindy, you get to go first.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Every time I go to Kenya, there are so many challenges that are put ahead of you before, like you said, this mountain. And I keep thinking it's going to get easier and it isn't. And so for me, I have been packing now for 2 months and my husband cannot believe I have like my suitcases and literally been packing like all the stuff because there's just things that come up. There's people want to gift things. It's anxiety a little bit. And so I need to, for me, I try the medicine I try to give it is like, let's alleviate this by being really super planned. And which is sort of the opposite of flow, right? But yet there's this balance of there's this balance of being prepared. And for me, it's just wanting to take as much as I can to the girls. And the mountain that's been happening these last few weeks has been a little bit of my health, my kids' health. My son had reconstructive surgery that we needed to hop into like straight away. And he's doing great. So like, it's really kind of being in these situations and trying to find a way through that doesn't add more stress to the situation. Because everything is kind of like, it's all in our minds too, to a certain extent. I was building the story that Gavin was, really needed me. And just, oh my gosh, I gotta give up 3 or 4 days of intense medicine and being a nurse. And he was great. I didn't need to give up 3 or 4 days. And so you learn these little lessons as you go along. It's really about consistency and getting to the finish line and how you get there. You're going to get there. So are you going to get there with some relative grace? Am I going to get there where every conversation I have with someone I agree that says, you're going to Kenya? I'm like, but I'm so exhausted. Oh my gosh, this happened. And I don't want to be that person. So it's trying to figure out how to how to deal with a cracked tooth. And I'm a little nervous about going to Kenya because if something happens, there's not a chance I'm going to get a crown over there or end up at a dentist or get something pulled. Or my son got sick just 3 days ago, and trying to eat all the right things and prepare my body. And just, so it's been a lot. But then it's like the medicine and having this type of world changer impact, it isn't easy. And I guess that's why not everybody does this work. It's not easy. And yet it's like we all live in highs and lows, and our high, it's like going to be exponential. And so, but when you allow that in, sometimes the lows also get deeper.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the overwhelm, I don't have a great answer. I actually look to you guys. And I found myself, like, when I came to you guys a couple of days ago, oh my gosh, my son is sick. I was just so bummed. My body, like, I'm like, am I already sick? Because I'm kind of just not in this great headspace. And wow, like, I just felt taken care of, even just hearing what I could do and what I need. Like, someone saw me, you guys saw me, not someone, you guys saw me, and you said, do this and that and this, and it'll be okay. And believe you're going to be okay. And that was like medicine in and of itself. And that was really powerful. So, thank you. And I need to turn to the well a lot more, which is the sisterhood, which is right here. and say, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to keep it all together. I feel there's even a part of me even with you two, like, it's not about, I know you know me so well, so it's not about keeping it perfect, but it's like, oh, well, I should know this. I've been doing this. Like, I should know these answers, and I don't. And so it's like, there's a lot.
It is a lot. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. And it is the collective, right? Because we are all experiencing our own day-to-day craziness. And then with this mic drop right in the middle of it, it's just so much. And there is a tendency and a temptation to keep it looking good and keep it going, because if I say this is hard, I don't want Cindy to think I don't want to go, or that she made something hard and now she's picking up that bag that does not have her name on it to hold for me. It's just all of this stuff. It's fabulous that we know each other, and it adds another layer because I want to say this, but I want to make sure it's encouraging and it doesn't sound ridiculous, because, I have different things on my mountain than you do, but it's all just the collective experience. And I'm so excited to talk about the good things, but we got to get through this.
We got to get the junk
so
out.
Kristi, tell us your mountain.
I've been staying very quiet through that because I wanted to hear all of it. And I have a tendency to jump in and interrupt people. So I've been just quietly shaking my head in absolute agreement with everything you're saying. So for me, let's start with what you just were talking about, which was how, even though you know each other so well and you have the best intentions for each other, there still is a fear of judgment when you hit your mountain, when you face your mountain, because your mountain is not the other person's mountain. And so you're already dealing with your own stress around being on, like, traipsing up that mountain. And then you're worried, like you said, that you're going to offend somebody or make them worried or stress them out or, whatever. And so I think that has the ability or the pressure to keep it to yourself and to fall into old patterns. For me to be like, I'm just going to power through this. I'm not going to let anybody see the crazy, and I'm going to make it happen. But in the end, I look at this and I think I have an opportunity to change the pattern. I have an opportunity to shift, right? And so in those moments, I use my courage tool, and I told you guys what I was facing, even though I was like I didn't want the ridicule. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to stress everybody out. And in the end, I know it's all going to come together. So why even worry? Why even worry someone else? But the fact of the matter is, just by sharing it and getting out of your body and allowing each other to hold your hand, get arm in arm and rise above it, it alleviates some of that. And, the shame and guilt live in isolation and darkness. And so we have to say it. We have to say it. And I felt, you guys know I'm a maximalist. Packing light is like putting a pet to sleep. That's how I feel about that experience.
That's
okay.
awful.
It is powerfully upsetting. Okay. It's powerfully upsetting. And I look at it and my brain says, okay, that's not like logical. You could wear one outfit and be perfectly happy for 300 days. Like logically, I know that. Emotionally, I don't have that same attachment. Right. And so I'm working through some things and it's not even packing light. Like I have a 50-pound bag of supplies and printed scarves and art things that I'm delivering. Right. And then I have, my own stuff. And I have more supplies that need to go into my own thing. So it's not even that I'm packing over the top. It's just really difficult for me. So that's number one. Number two, on the way to this journey, I got really sick. And my kids had a 2-week spring break. We traveled during that time. Then my husband and I had this whim of a plan. I'm having a hell yes year. Obviously, I'm taking these incredible trips. Like you said, Wendy, it's like I'm living a dream life and it's also challenging. And it feels like when you're like, oh, I'm so stressed out because I've been traveling so much, you feel very like, first world problems here, especially when we're going and doing this big soul work. You start to like look at it and go, oh my God. But you still have to acknowledge that it's hard. It's challenging. So then we ended up going to Coachella, had a fabulous time, but that was super taxing. And then we came back and we both got very, very, very sick, like 2 weeks knocked out of the game sick, which is not good in terms of packing and all this. What it was good for was realigning my dedication and the reason why I want to go on the trip, and allowing me, which is not easy to do, become singular focused. And so my theory about all this stuff coming in our way is that it's the universe asking us, are you actually ready? Do you really want to do this? Be sure. Because there were times along the way when it was like, you asked, are you sure you want to go? Do you have time for this right now? Is this working? And it's like, you have to get really quiet and listen to what your body's telling you. And all I know is that my focus became so clear that I was going to heal my body because there was not a chance that I was not going on this trip. And then that to me was like, okay, game on. And I had to do some things that were way out of my comfort zone to get well, things that I had never done before. Listen to people who are more in the holistic world and said, try this and this and this and this. I'm drinking bone broth 4 times a day and I'm eating, organic, organic sprouted sauerkraut. It's like, it sounds crazy. And yet I feel the healthiest I felt in probably 3 decades. I feel so much energy, so hydrated. So my skin is glowing. Like I'm so excited that I found that, but it was so painful to get there. It was so I really think, I know that we're listing all the crap, but I truly, truly, truly believe that it comes in exactly what you need to comes in when it needs to come in to help you get really clear. And this is my year of learning what hell yes is for me, and if it's not hell yes, everything outside of that is a no. And I've usually been like, well, it's a kind of yes, or I'm going to make it a yes, or I really want it to be a yes. But now I know what it feels like to have it be a hell yes, and what you go through and what you're committed to to make that happen. So I'm actually super grateful for all these ridiculously frustrating challenges. And I know that sounds like somebody's like, oh my God, she's blowing smoke up my ass.
No,
Like,
I don't
I'm
think it's
actually
ridiculous in the least. Actually, I was going to say, don't say ridiculous, because they actually are challenges that to me, I mean, I don't mean like, don't say, I just mean like, it is so collective. I think when we start to share, like Wendy said, like you start to exhale, like, oh my God, I'm really nervous. I'm going to get sick. Like that's where I've lived the last couple of days. And, or you were truly sick where you needed to get your body into a healthy space. Like nothing about, planting and bending over with your back and working all day long to try to rally troops. Like none of this is ridiculous. It is the physical existence that we live in. And that's why most people are not going to Kenya to do world changer work, because it's almost like you get squeezed through, like this is the work before, and you're sort of getting squeezed through this bridge, right? Like we're about to cross over, and all the things, like you said, like getting laser focused, and all the things are sort of testing you. And it's like testing your resilience. Can you get back? Like every day is a new day, and get, and the feeling you have, which is we're doing this, doesn't go away. But the challenges are evolving, changing, shifting, coming in at you at sometimes like a tidal wave pace. And I find myself a lot more aware about like, is this going to hurt someone if I don't do this? Is this just a people pleasing thing that I need to do? Is this just so sorry? Like what? I had told a girlfriend, well, I'm just trying not to be overwhelmed. She goes, how do you do that? I'm like, I need to talk to Wendy. How do I do that? But
you choose. What does Wendy say? You choose.
Right. Freedom is a decision away.
I'm understanding what's really essential.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful. And I think that, like for me, I was supposed to start a 6-month breathwork facilitator training. And it was supposed to start in April, and they pushed it back to May. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll be gone 2 weeks. I don't know. And so I talked to them. They're like, you could totally do it and all this. But as like I was talking about, getting really focused on what is a yes, all of a sudden that the need and the desire to take that training shifted for me. So I signed up for that last October, knowing it was going to start now. A whole like lifetime of expansion has happened in my life between then and now. And I feel like I signed on for that then because I was looking for something else to offer as a coach. I was looking for something else to make me worthy. Not that that was a bad thing, because I still deeply believe in it, and I probably will get that certification. But I became acutely aware that the timing was not right, and that was not a hell yes for me right now. However, the Africa trip, the Kenya trip was a hell yes for me right now. And for me, this is huge because it's been a long time coming to reconnect to my body, to listen to those intuitive hits, and to know when something like that, when you're stepping out of something big like that, is that fear? Am I doing it because I'm worried and I'm in lack? Or is it actually abundance in knowing what I need and want right now? And I had this very clear moment of knowing exactly what those things were. And that was a whole different feeling for me, because usually when I overcommit myself and then start backing out of something, like I said before, the guilt, the shame, the worry, the second guessing, the waffling, the going back and forth, that's the name of the game. And on this, there's not been one moment since I stepped out of that program that I thought, should have done that. What am I doing? Because I know that when I'm ready, that program will be there for me.
That's right.
And it may never be my calling. And that's okay. Because in the prep for this trip, I have found a huge amount of inspiration for what I'm doing next, for what lights me up. And I've known it, but this pulled it together and gave me a reason to dig into it. Right. And so
100%, I want to interrupt you because I can, it's my podcast. Look at me. So there's such, and I'm just going to use your example, but not to say like this is only happening to you, but you come up with a definition. We all do. We come up with a definition of ourselves. I'm a maximalist. I'm multi-passionate. Like that's just how I am. And that is so great and clarifying and expansive. And we can, I do it all the time, repeat that over and over and over again, that when we are required to focus on one thing, we're almost resistant to it because we're like, no, I can do everything. Have you met me? Oh my word. Like I can, but you had to make a decision because your body was shutting down and the days on the calendar were flipping. You had to focus on one thing, which was the creative elements that you are contributing, which just feels like a super small word for what you're doing, to this trip. And when you lasered in on that, dude, it was like, so Amelia just watched Encanto again for the 952nd time, which thankfully I love the music, but I actually was in the room for when Antonio opens the door. And so, it's just a door to a hallway until they get their gift. And then there's this entire world on the other side of it. And this was like animals and trees and a jungle. And it's like, it was unbelievable. And I feel like you had to make a decision in this whole hallway of doors that you could open, and you're totally capable. The hallway's in your own house. Like you can do all of this, but you had to choose a door. And oh my gosh, on the other side of that. And I also know that's only a glimpse of what you're capable of. But Cindy and I are seeing the pictures and our minds are blown. And it's just been so beautiful that the circumstances and the universe and your body and all the stars aligned for that to happen. And the ripple effects, I mean, the effect that it's having on me, and I've only seen a picture. I haven't even held the product. I haven't even filmed you teaching these amazing women on the other side of the world who we can't believe we get to do that, and they can't believe we care. Like the whole thing is just insanity. And it's because you allowed yourself to not be a maximalist for 3 days.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like whatever came out is, I mean, I'm going to say this and you're going to be like, but it was you. Was not me. It was like it flowed through me.
That's right.
Something just flowed through me. And it was like, I didn't get stuck in the design of it, or is it good enough, or the color scheme, or like, am I carving the right block or whatever? We're talking about block printing. This is one of the workshops we're doing there. But I just made things. I just made with a fury. And I was so sick and I was making it. And it was like this whole like crazy, I don't know. It was, I mean, if you go back, not that I'm some master, but if you go back to like the writings of Vincent van Gogh. No, but I'm just saying, I don't want to compare. I'm not trying to compare myself to Vincent van Gogh. Okay. I just want to put that out there. But if you go back to like the writings of like Vincent van Gogh, when he's in the thralls of his painting and he's cutting off his ear and he's doing like whack stuff, right? You see this, like, I know that feeling, right? I'm not going to cut my ear off, but like, I know that feeling of just being like, this is the way, like, this is flowing through me. And I just know exactly where to put things and what to do. And like, I don't know. It happened and it was miraculous, but it was not easy because there were like 50 things to tend to. But I do love this conversation about getting laser focused and allowing. And Cindy, you were talking about how like packing for 2 months and the way you get through it is like to schedule and to plan. And there's so much power in that leadership and that planning. And I hear you also saying like, I've got to make some room for some magic too, right? Because that's true. And, for me, I often get in the planning mode. In this lead up to this, I was trying, you guys, to get into planning mode. You should see the amount of lists that are here. I mean, it's like, but I was also trying to survive. I was like, oh my God. And my daughter turned a teenager during this time. So it was like throwing her a party and making her feel seen.
It's such a lesson in like being present and receiving. And also the lesson I've gotten literally even just all the way up to last night was like, the three of us together are powerful. Like when you're together, like that's everything about Elimu Girls and the sisterhood. It's like, man, there is just some of the toughest stories, some of the most inherited poverty on the earth that these girls, many of them have already experienced or are experiencing. And yet the resilience that they have together and how they get through it and how they find joy every day, whatever their practice is, singing or praying or, and for me, recognizing I need to go to the water and say, I need help. I'm kind of like, and even Wendy writing, it's a masculine space to do things alone. And it's like, oh, wow, I've lived there for 50 years. God knows. And so I'm learning, and I'm grateful for learning and just saying, you know what, this is let go of the old, man, because it's just not serving you. It's not serving anyone. There's no reason you had talked about going up the mountain and feeling judged and feeling like, we may scorn you or we may, that these things. And it's like, yeah, how do we want to show up in life? Because I don't want to be that girl that scorns. And I may have been in the past. And so letting that go, because it doesn't do any good. We're there, we're living, we're both present and planning. And there's so much going on. So it's like, and we're all so well intended and we're also talented. And if we're the three of us are there together and we need to pivot to doing cartwheels, well, that's what I think will happen. So
that's the only one I know how to do.
Ooh, teach us.
Like, I will.
You just got to do what you got to do. And that's why women are amazing because we sit there with each other and say, well, you should have been, this, that, and the other. And I don't want to be, there's no competition about who did what, who's bringing what to the table. Like it's the three of us that are going to make magic in these moments. And there's so many moments to be had for these Elimu girls in the future. And whether we're opening doors so they get more moments of experiencing more trainers and, meeting more American women, like you two coming is like, is already, it's like, it's all the people that are watching are saying, wow, that's really cool. They're taking the step.
Yeah.
To me, that's a big deal.
The collective is so powerful, as you said. Kristi, you were saying, you've got lists, but you weren't a part of the logistical planning that Cindy and I were doing earlier on. But the things that it's like, you don't have to. I mean, get your own stuff done, but you don't have to do that because we are, and you get to do the thing that is beautiful that you can do, and we get to support you in that. And it's just smashed together. We are a crazy, fabulous person, but and just this force and this sisterhood, and that in showing all the different sides of it, the vulnerable sides, ugly cried in my car 2 days ago, which I shared with you.
That's such a great lesson for me too, because I think with the Elimu girls, it's just my filter. I tend to see things like really like I see the good, and the truth is there's a lot of bad. And so it's not to focus on the bad, but it is to share the truth.
Right.
And that's sometimes that's just you saying, I ugly cried, and I was thinking, oh my God, I've already been doing that for a couple of weeks, like on certain days, and just haven't, like you said, Kristi, you just grind through it. You just, and whether that's an old pattern, I guess it's just about loving myself no matter who I am in those moments, because it's always I'm always trying to strive to be better and be more collective and be more real and be open. And it's not perfect.
Right.
And so that's the part of like, even if I did handle it, by myself, or I was short with people, like get back in the game and show up in a way that is better then, because you can do better. And
yeah, you always have a choice to do it differently the next time and learn from, where you are. And I think finding a group of supportive peers who are staying high vibe and who are on the roller coaster with you, but in different cars, so that their highs happen at different times than your highs and your lows. And it's like this powerful web that allows you to just sort of sit when you have to and bounce back up when you need to. It's like a big trampoline that you're just like hopping on and never falling off of, right? It's got the gate around it, the fence around it. And for me, I think that's huge, because I've spent a lifetime of doing it myself, not asking for help. And the power that I'm witnessing is so much bigger than I could do myself. It has such bigger impact. And even, like as we were talking about these workshops, like the question came up, like, what is the goal? Are we going there to just teach this one workshop, or are we giving them supplies and knowledge and training so that they can keep doing that after we leave, right? And then that changed sort of like our supply list and our goals and things like that. But that's the bigger question, like, what is the ripple effect of our actions, and how can we actually plan ahead? That's when the masculine planning comes into such, powerful usage. And the fact of the matter is, we need both masculine and feminine energy at all times, flowing in and out of each other. It's like masculine energy is the glass and feminine energy is the liquid.
But man, when the tidal wave of responsibility, or the tidal wave of those you hold so dearly in your life have priorities that you need to handle before you go, right? Or you need to at least address, or like, so that tidal wave comes at you. How do you anchor, right? Like, where do you anchor? Are you straddling both sides of yourself? Feminine, like for me, the pattern has been, like the more masculine, sort of like, just get in there. I need more hours in the day. Just leave me alone. I'll figure this out. And that's just, that's something to step away from. I know that it's difficult though. It's really, really difficult, because
it's definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, that's been a major boulder on my mountain, because I didn't really even line it up. The perfect solution came to me, and this person was so graciously available to stay at the house, and she has more peonies than I do, so she knows what to do. She has more chickens than I do, so she knows what to do. She has access and all of these beautiful things, and staying here would have been in beautiful service to her. As like, it was just so gorgeous that I thought, oh, well, this is how it is, right? It's just
easy peasy,
right?
Easy
It's not even the law of attraction, it's the law of reception. I'm just calling it all in, and it's so easy. And then she needed to cancel.
Boom.
She did. It was she absolutely needed to cancel. And I 100% support the cancel. And I now had only a few days to figure this out. So then there's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Am I missing something? Like, I need to stay in my high vibe, but am I like, it's just all of these things where I'm straddling actually two levels of consciousness. Like, what am I going to allow happen? Did all of a sudden God doesn't know me anymore? Of course, that's not true. So, I'm just going on to these practices that I have, these lessons from A Course in Miracles of, that overwhelm is a sign that I'm relying on my own strength, and overwhelm is a sign that another solution exists. So yay, because I'm overwhelmed and I would like to know what the solution was. And so I have now recruited 6 people to do some of the things that I do every day, not even all of them, but they also weren't the first 6 people I asked. So hence the ugly crying in the car. So like, why is this so hard? I don't understand. And that was really a short, like, and then the recovery time is just so much faster, which is something you said, Cindy, years ago into our weekly calls, that this collective is so magical because we hold space for each other. We let each other be where we are, and we don't let each other stay there if it's not in service. And so this has just been such a revelation after revelation for me, because I have someone to take care of the dog off site. So I don't really need a house sitter, but now I've got someone taking care of the chickens and the eggs, because of course they're now producing 24 eggs a day. Okay. And then the peonies are amazing and beautiful and need to be thinned, and I'm not going to be here. And the dahlias have all survived winter storage. So I've planted 60 of them, and there's 182 bags that won't be attended to until I come home. And that is all really hard on multiple levels. First, the masculine is to do it all, the feminine is to receive, and that is hard. It is hard for me to ask for help because I've created a narrative around, well, I'm the one who wanted to keep the house, and I'm the one who's delighted by all the work, so I'm the one that has to figure it out, and I'm not allowed to ask for help because I'm brought on this life that I have now. And that narrative is not in service to me. And I
not at all.
No, and I get to make a decision that I'm going to do the best that I can with the time that I have. And I'm going to make sure that my bag is packed and it is not over the weight limit and it has what I need in it. And I'm going to get myself to the airport. And then when I get back, I'm going to attend to whatever is still here that needs attending to. And
I think when you get back, whatever is there for you is exactly what's supposed to be there for you.
100%.
And if all the dahlias don't get planted or they don't turn out, then that wasn't supposed to be for you right then, right? What is that thing? It's, sometimes the thing you want doesn't happen because the better thing is on its way. And I think that can sound really trite, and it's so true if we allow it to be true. And also we have to change the way that we view what does come in,
right? Because
something that doesn't feel like it's in service at all could be the thing that actually opens up a whole new world for you. And also when you were talking, it reminded me of when you were doing your live the other day, and you were talking about how when these things flow in, oftentimes we go, oh my God, is this a sign that I'm not supposed to do this? Oh my God. And other people say that, like, oh, I can't believe you can do that. Who's going to take care of your kids? Oh my gosh, I can't believe your husband is letting you go. Someone said that to me the other day. Yeah. And I thought, I'm just not even going to respond to that. I got to give an answer for that one, but I'm like, I'm not sure you know what it's like in our household. But I think that it's very easy with our conditioning, especially as mothers, that we can easily look at things that become hard and go, oh, this is a sign that I'm not supposed to be doing that thing. And this is what I was talking about a little bit ago about really getting into your body and feeling your intuition and understanding what's coming up and getting quiet and listening to how to respond to it. Because sometimes those things do come in to give you a red flag to say, don't do it.
Right.
But a lot of times they come in to ask you, are you ready? What are you going to do? How do you problem solve? Are you going to do it the same way you've done it for the last, 30 years? What's the story here? Right. And I think that that's something that I've pushed through in this season of getting ready for this trip, because there's been multiple times when I'm like, oh my God, why am I sick? How could I get sick right now? And so sick. I haven't been sick in like 5 years, right? It's like, how is this possible? And, many other things that I haven't mentioned, but it was just like every time, not only am I asking, is it right? But there are people outside of me looking at me going, are you sure? Are you sure you want to go? And that's where the resolve came in. And that's where I started to look at it and go, am I sure? What does that look like? What does that mean? Who do I need to be to make this dream come true? And that's where the focus came in. That's where doing everything possible to take care of me. And I have a functional nutritionist, and she's incredible, by the way. I will recommend her to everyone. She's incredible.
We'll link it in the show notes.
I will link it in the show notes. But she said to me, Kristi, I think you're going to have to learn how to put yourself first on this trip. There's going to be a lot of things that are asked of you. You're going to want to serve. You're going to want to step up, and you cannot do that for anyone else if you don't take care of yourself. So here are some things. And my A+ student background came in, and I did all the things, even though they were wildly out of my comfort zone. I mean, I don't even like sauerkraut. And I know that's the small one, but I did.
That was the thing that made me think, oh, I'm glad I'm not sick because I can't do that.
No, I mean, and she was like, you could eat it with, sausage or whatever. I was literally just eating a cup of it, like just mowing it. And I was like choking it down, but I was like, eye on the prize. I got my eye on the prize. Eye on the prize, people.
Just like the bikini.
It was totally like that. And then my sweet daughter was like, ooh, what's that? And I was like, it's sauerkraut. You want to try it as a snack? And she's like, I actually do. And I'm like, okay. And then she ate it and she's like, this is delicious. Can I have this every day? And I like, well, yes, nice. You can. Let's keep you well too. But it's like that moment when you look at what's in front of you and you just surrender to it and allow it. Then the steps on who to be and how to get to the finish line actually drop in. And I'm going to say this, and I'm sure your listeners are privy to this, but I think this is triggering for a lot of people. Once you step into that energy, things actually come with ease.
That's right.
They aren't easy.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't easy. And I think that's what we're talking about here. This hasn't been easy. We're each facing our own big challenges. We're looking demons in the face. We're climbing up mountains. We're doing the hard things, but the way becomes with ease and alignment so that you are clear that when you're stepping into those difficult spaces, that you're stepping into them for their legitimately right reasons.
Right.
And I think that semantically is a huge shift in how we call in what we want. And like you said, live the life that you dreamed of and know that it's all not sunshine and rainbows. It's still a dream,
right?
It's still beautiful and perfect. And there's a lot of crap that you're dealing with on the regular. So, and that's a shift, because when we all dream of the dream, we think it's going to be bliss all the time. And we made it to the destination, but no, we didn't.
No, it's like
you're just on the journey.
The vulnerability, I think, is probably one word we haven't mentioned today that really resonates, has resonated in the past with like how I've evolved with Elimu Girls. I think at the very beginning, I really felt like, and maybe like there's still strands of that, right? Like wanting to bring all the jewelry for them, wanting to bring all the like every for the girls. But it really is about when we get there, it's like relating to another woman because you're both vulnerable is the space where we meet each other, not actually, in a place of like, I've come to shower you and spoil you. That's my contribution. And I want to do that because it makes me feel really good. But it's really about, I have vulnerabilities, man, do I? And we share them, and thank you for that. And I'm so grateful for this sisterhood and the sisterhood you guys are about to walk into over there too, because that's sort of what we're asking of them, right? Like there's a vulnerability to just share your story. And some of them won't because they're just not going to be ready. Some of them might, some of them will. So I think that's that space of saying, to me, the most vulnerable space I felt is like, wow, you think you have it all figured out, but gosh, I don't. And please help me figure this out better. And I'm sorry you're seeing all these flaws. And I hope I didn't hurt you along the way. And that's vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And so that's real. And that's when a woman hugs you back and just says, I got you.
Yeah. That's making me tear up because I think it's just like, we all just want that, right? We all want a sense of belonging and we all want to feel held through all the trials, right? And I think when you get to step in a space like that, you actually get to take more risks. And I've said that for years, like, that's my big speech when I was a softball commissioner to the families. Your daughters are going to learn how to play softball. They're going to learn how to throw and slide and hit the ball. But what they're really going to learn is how to be a teammate, is how to be a support system, is how to step into the spotlight and step out of the spotlight, how to raise other people up, and how to really, really, really feel safe and held so that they can find their edges and push past them. Just 1% better. That's it. If we just say, I just need to strive for 1% better every day, that's so doable. Right. And it's so impactful over time. And I think that for me, this trip to meet these girls in person is, it's going to change my life. And that sounds trite too. But I think for me, and something you said there really made me think this, it's not us coming to save them. And I think a lot of the times when people are a part of a charity or they do this kind of soul work, that's the vantage. Like when you tell somebody you're going, they're like, oh, that's so amazing of you. Good for you. And they're not saying good for you because you're going to go have an incredible experience. They're saying good for you because you're going in to like save somebody. And I don't see this as that in any way, shape, or form. This is an equal exchange of two women having a connection, understanding that while our worlds are vastly different and our challenges are vastly different, they're all rooted in the same things. We all want to belong. We want to love. We want to be loved, feel love, have a community, know that we're held. In that space, when you connect in that way, you literally can not only make it up the mountain, but move the freaking mountain out of your way because you're willing to take risks. And that's the only way we ever get anywhere. So I feel so grateful. And grateful is like understatement for this opportunity to go, for the connection, for them and for myself equally. I just feel really, really grateful. And all of these challenges that have led up to it, I think are exactly what you said. It's like you get pushed through this it's almost like giving birth, right? You got to go through the birth canal. And then it's like the whole world, like the whole time you're living inside of a person, you think that that's the whole world. Right. And then you go through this tunnel and then it's a whole different thing on the other side, right? But you have to learn how to breathe on your own. You have to learn how to walk on your own. You have to learn how to eat, but it's like unimaginably expansive. So anyway, I think it's an incredible opportunity. So.
It is. I'm so excited. I'm really thrilled to, of course, go there and meet the girls. And it's my understanding that they are not expecting us to be perfect. And it's my understanding that they don't care that I'm not bringing them cookies or that I'm not bringing my cutest shoes or anything. Like they just want to, Kristi wants to bring her cutest shoes. It's so hard not to bring her cutest shoes.
My cutest shoes are pretty utilitarian. That's all I have to say. No, just okay.
I don't have one pair. That's the problem. No one is expecting me to be perfect except me. And that's been such a gift of this process. Deciding yesterday to only plant as many dahlias as I could. And it was challenging for me to make that decision and to not make up a story about it. And then as soon as I did it, that was it. Like there are no repercussions. Like I'm the only one. And it was just a great lesson because I was holding myself to a standard that was not in service to anybody.
That's such a powerful statement because we all, sometimes I need to be hit over the head with a bat to get that because I don't think I have any of those perfectionism things. Of course I do, and so
so hilarious, really? I think you do.
I think you do. Sorry, Brent.
I might. Okay.
Sorry, Brent. Sorry to break it to you. Sorry to break it to you on a podcast.
No, but there's so many of those realizations to be had and to accept and to let go of too. So
right. What are you most looking forward to, Cindy?
What am I most looking forward to? I think, I think also witnessing you guys experiencing the girls, I'm really looking forward to that. I feel like you will understand. The staff will be so lovely with you. You're about to be welcomed into a Kenyan side of, it's really nice to know people and you'll have that sense because they're very real. And so I'm excited that we get to keep growing as a family.
What about you?
How about you?
Kristi?
How about you too?
God, I'm so excited for so much of it. But I think on my own personal journey, I'm so excited to block print with the girls, like to actually bring the class to life. I think, and like the moment that they create something from their hand and see it come together in front of them it's going to make my heart expand in a way that I may not make it through it. So someone might have to hold me up, but just giving them that new skill. They're already learning that, right? They're already learning how to expand and how to create and use their hands and make something out of nothing. And just to, I don't know, that I have even a drop of an impact on the next level of that is, I just want to see their faces when they make something they love.
That's
and they get to take it home for themselves. Yeah.
Great. I am most looking forward to time with you guys that is so extended and, full, but not full of any of our own stuff. Like that we're just on this ride together. I'm looking forward to supporting your amazing efforts, both of yours, and being witness to it and creating, photographic evidence of the amazing impact on all of us. And I'm really excited about just continuing to put water and sunshine on all of the 532 freaking awesome ideas we're going to come up with every single day and to give them legs and juice while we're there instead of, having an idea and then dreaming about it and then coming home and then talking to someone who wasn't there. They're like, oh, well, what about this? And you're like, oh, yeah, I guess not, and then have it not go anywhere. So I'm really excited that this is the first of many trips that we'll take there.
I have to add one
Mhm.
thing in here now because I neglected to do this earlier, but while we were like trying to come up with what was going to happen in this embroidery part of it, because none of us are really that schooled in embroidery and we're still going and doing it. So like I did an intensive, taught myself like 10 stitches and now I know how to teach them. But in that, talking about collaboration, in that, I was just kind of like trying to figure out how to put these words out. You know, like I wanted to have them embroider a word and I was learning how to do it. And Cindy was like, here's a list of words translated into Swahili that are powerful, meaningful words. And I was like, oh my God, we have to use some of these words. And then Wendy, you were like, if it's of any service, I could handwrite those in my beautiful calligraphy handwriting masterpieces. You didn't say that, but that's how I thought that when you said it. And I was like, oh my God, send that over. And you sent 8, 10, some ridiculous amount of beautiful words. And those I put in and I started embroidering your handwriting. It looks incredible. And now we have templates for all of those for the girls to put onto items and to learn that. And so that the act of putting these words on these scars is truly 100% such a deep collaboration between the three of us that then is going to transcend, you know, the oceans and really go so far. And I just wanted to acknowledge that because not only are we a collective in terms of ideation and brainstorming and holding each other and bringing us each up when we need it.
Tissue.
Yeah, passing the tissue, but also just like creative collaboration. And back to your earlier point of each coming to the table with your own skill and how that is immeasurably more powerful than just going it alone. And more beautiful. So I just want to acknowledge you both that you both, and it wasn't like, do this or let's try this, or it was literally like, here's this, maybe this is something, here's this, let's try this. And then I was like, maybe we could embroider those words. Like, it was just kind of like very organic and, but so collaborative. And I think that that's how I envision this whole trip.
Yep.
With not just us, but with the extended team there and the girls. And even when we're doing something offsite with the community there, I just feel like it's just, I don't know, expansive.
We're modeling
beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my intention too for this trip is really to have fun. Just have a good time.
Fun is flow, man.
That's an adventure. You know, we get to see hopefully wild animals. Maybe, you know, we'll be exploring on this this Dow safari type of experience. Who knows what kind of sea animals we'll see. The many people we will encounter, the sounds, the colors, the music. My intention is just to receive all of it as medicine for my soul.
I love it.
And I'm very excited for you guys to, you know, receive it in magic doses too.
Yes. Who rules the world? Girls.
Right.
It's so good. There is no stopping the divine feminine rising, that collective force, and it's for good and expansion, and everyone will win because of this. Yes.
It's a hell yes.
That is a hell yes. Thank you so much. I know we have so much more to talk about and share, and we will continue to keep our collective community and our individual communities abreast. And we will put links in the show notes for how people can donate. That's been another fabulous thing, is just talking about this trip. People within our own communities are supporting girls, and all of these
what about my manufacturing plant that I do use for my products that, that a friend just reached out to me. I was like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, okay. And then, people want to sponsor girls. It's amazing. And there is no stopping us. And I am here for it. So thank you so much, my lovelies. I will see you at the airport.
That's right.
Yes, I'll see you at the airport.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wright House and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.